Now, I want to define one of the biggest topics in relationships: flirting versus teasing. Now, this is a hot topic everybody wants to bring up. And, a lot of times it can be hard to define and distinguish both of those. So let's talk about this. Now, first of all, what's the motivation between each of these? And this is important before you analyze it. Understand the context and experience. Those are the most important things. Because a tease is somebody who's a serial flirter who has lots of male friends or lots of female friends. And they flirt or act aggressive with people of the opposite sex in general. And so this is where I talk about put everything in a curve, just figure somebody out first. Don't go out there reading too much into stuff. That's the first step before we get into the flirting part. Because if you read too much into things, everybody that flirts with you will eventually end up teasing you and humoring you. And now teasing can also be humoring somebody. A person may seem very friendly and they kind of smile, act excited, put on tone. But, teasing's fake. Teasing is a person oftentimes who wants a lot of people in their social network. They're very outgoing. They are very gregarious, basically extroverted people. And so they need a lot of constant excitement. And so this is where with teasing, it's less personal. And now with flirting, it's more personal, person to person. It's where somebody wants to put themselves available to another person. And so this is where the experience part comes in. Like if you have people hanging out, it would be teasing if somebody just says, "Oh, I like you as a friend," and they act real aggressive to them and tease them and lead them on. And then difference with teasing is it has a limit. Like when somebody wants intimacy, that's where the limit goes. Whereas with flirting, now that can have a limit too, but the thing with flirting is it's a person communicating with another person on a lot of different levels, showing true interest and affinity for that person, and they're gravitating to them, they want to spend time around them. And now teasers do this too, they want to have a lot of friends, but flirting is where somebody's trying to ask them out. They're really trying to connect. Whatever they have is not enough with that person. They really like them, they have a lot of interest, and so they are trying to push that connection subconsciously, and you will tell it when you see it, because it'll be the way somebody acts towards somebody, and they just seem to really like them. And this is where, don't read too much into things. Before you're done with this video, do not read too much into things. Do lots of stuff, have lots of interests. Don't even think about whether they're flirting or teasing or not. Just enjoy yourself. Don't even think. That's where these situations, people worry and stress too much in relationships. Anybody that flirts with them would lose security and feel, absolutely bored with that person if they got so desperate. They kind of sense that they could have them. And the person's like wrapped around their finger and they would own that person. And so the desperation makes somebody powerless to another person and makes them absolutely weak to them and just totally blows it away. And so these are huge factors. So how do you not get desperate? You got to get your mind on something else. You got to have lots of interests, lots of friends and everything. This is where in the relationship picture, most guys don't have relationships. They don't get out much. They don't have a lot of friends. They don't package themselves well. A lot of very obvious stuff, and then the interpersonality. And when somebody is drifting in a certain direction, like remember Eminem, he had phenomenal music way back in the day, and then he just fell into garbage and kind of fell mentally, and he was absolutely unrecognizable. Well, people take paths too. And relationships, it's like karma. So you understand that, a lot of times when somebody's flirting, women are always going to have the social knacks ahead of guys. And when they're showing this interest, you are going to see who likes who. It's by the attention and basically the experience here. Because everybody is different. You don't even worry about flirting and stuff like that. That's just somebody trying to interact. They're friendly. That's how you think about it. And then that's what makes somebody more appealing. And see, if a guy is being teased and he shows less response to it, is just has a lot in his mind and actually has something about him that person didn't even know that makes him so much more appealing. They could have a situation go a different way. And now on the other hand, if somebody has somebody flirting with them and they read too much into things and get ahead of the person, that's going to turn to teasing, because they'll just humor them and they'll creep the person out or push them back. And every situation in flirting versus teasing, it's very important people understand in a situation the level of everything. And don't even worry about it. Get your mind off of stuff. Absolutely always keep yourself a level below the other person. Let them come to you. Do not absolutely act like everything has to be overnight. A lot of guys tend to get in the desperation phase, which makes this video more important because we need to find a talent and something that'll draw people to us that is different in general in life. That's what people have to understand. Like, I have to perfect the art of everything I do, or I have to be really sharp, and I have to just, okay, I'm going to get my mind off of this. I don't want to think about it anymore. And that's what you got to do. And just then you have lots of interests and communication about lots of stuff, and you can become more spontaneous. And see, when a guy reads too much into the flirting stuff, they lose their spontaneity because they act obvious and give gifts and shower somebody. They don't just chill and enjoy themselves and lead the other person subconsciously anymore because they're trying to copy what they think is going to rush the steps. And so, in relationships, it's not money spent or anything. It's all about if there is a connection in a situation and chemistry, and those are factors that any expert will tell you that people will naturally be attracted in. Certain situations can go directions, and they can, and there's lots of factors. And there's always some situations where you will have a person that is putting something on. And now this is the second part of the teasing versus flirting thing that I think is more important. There are also people who are users, and the users will seem very quick with superficial charm. And a user, whereas somebody who really likes somebody will warm up to them, and they will adapt to them, and the person will grow on them, and they will gravitate to them. Like they may have somebody who's in class with somebody, and that person wants to hang out with them all the time, all of a sudden. And, this is where if the person is overly desperate and pushes the idea of a relationship, they may overstep their bounds, and then it goes way back. Whereas if somebody's friendly with somebody in class and, they're always hanging out with different people and the person seems to really like them, they're more likely to come up to them and show natural interest. Now, see, there could be somebody who hits on everybody and just wants constant attention, and they're very outgoing. They hit on this person, compliment them all this stuff, and seem excited by them, but they're a very outgoing person. And naturally, they connect like that to everybody. And so in cases like that, you can have upbeat people that, you can meet other people through. And they may have a lot of people in social network that you know from class or somewhere. That's how you want to be in those situations. And see, when people get their mind off of relationships and into a certain area, you get your survival instincts going and you start problem solving stuff and focus on lots of stuff and lots of interests and being a very complex person, and then people are naturally spontaneous and they do better. The desperation factor in this kind of puzzle is the main thing. I hope you're all not desperate watching this video. Because, being desperate, people can smell it. It's a subconscious thing that kind of makes somebody into a zombie in the dating world. Like, it totally makes them act differently, and people can kind of smell it. So it's important, this is where there's a lot of subconscious stuff with personality. People sense before somebody's even in their presence. They can kind of just sense something. And in relationships, there's a lot of that subconscious factor that really plays in. And so when somebody's in the right mental state and mind state and everything and the right views in a situation, they're not going to get teased as much. Whereas if somebody is desperate, oh my God, they're going to get teased to hell. They're going to get teased by everybody. Everybody's going to want to tease them and make a fool of them. And because they own them. They have them as wrapped around their finger now. That they own this guy. They have complete power. That it's one person that they got wrapped around them, and so they can easily manipulate them more. And that's where, if people are less desperate, they're going to have more people that are showing that interest in them. But this is also where the personality comes into play too. And so there's lots of factors. And so, basically this is my video. Hope it helps.